Hi everyone, this is BB Singh and today I'm going to discuss about the design of machine elements against static loading. And in this video I'm going to discuss about the design of turnbuckle. So in the previous video we have discussed about the design of knuckle joint. Also we have discussed a few numericals regarding the design of knuckle joint. A knuckle joint is also a part which is subjected to static type of load, and turnbuckle is also a part which is subjected to a static type of load. Okay, so let us see what is turnbuckle, where it is used. So turnbuckle is a common rigging device that is used to adjust tension and to reduce the slack in rope, cable or similar tensioning assembly. Turnbuckles are a diverse product line that are used in a variety of applications across many different industries. They can be used in applications as simple as providing tension in a fence or a perimeter cable, or something as complicated as the construction of a suspension bridge. So there are a variety of applications of turnbuckle. Here you can see that a turnbuckle is a piece of hardware which is used to eliminate slack and adjust tension in a rope, cable or other tensioning systems. So you can see that it is having very less number of components. Only 3 components are there. There are 2 types of turnbuckles: closed body and open body. Okay, so again the middle part is called as a coupler or a body, and left and right, these are the 2 rods which are having left and right handed threads. Okay, these are the threaded end fittings which are used to increase or to decrease the tension by using the by rotating the central part, which is called as a coupler. Okay, so here these are the few types of turnbuckle according to the hook, according to the type of end: hook, jaw and eye. Here you can see that this is the jaw and jaw type, this is the eye and jaw type, this is eye and eye type, this one is the hook and hook type, and this one is the hook and eye type. So according to application you can select any one of these. So let us discuss about the applications. There are various applications of turnbuckle as mentioned. Turnbuckle can be used with a length of rope, cable or other rigging assembly as a connection point to adjust slack and tension within the line. Turnbuckles can be used for something as simple as fencing to reduce or to increase the tension in the fencing lines, or it can be used in the suspension bridges. It is also used in the sports and entertainment industries, where turnbuckles are used to act as a securement point and to create the tension in the rope surrounding around the wrestling box ring. The material used for the turnbuckle is the soft material to avoid the injury to the athletes. Also, it is used in the maritime transport. It means it is used in the large cargo ships, also in the small ships. Turnbuckles are used to hold or to clamp the larger components by using ropes or cables. So turnbuckles are used to adjust the tension between these ropes and cables. Also turnbuckles are used to tension the ship's lashings, okay, rigging components. Also turnbuckles are used in the construction, like in the suspension bridges, large buildings, highway guardrail cables are there. Turnbuckles are also used in the aircraft industries, that is aviation industries, in the aircraft wings, flight control systems, etc. So there are various applications of turnbuckles. So let us discuss about the design procedures. Here you can see that the simple drawing I have shown. So this is the turnbuckle with the hexagonal coupler nut, and this is the sectional view of that. Okay, so here you can see that capital L is the length of coupler, and the capital length of coupler depend on the type of application or the type of length which is to be or the length which is to be adjusted. Okay, small l is the length of coupler nut, which is the threaded, which is having the threaded portion, or which will have the threaded portion one. At the left side you will find a rod with threads, V type of threads with the right hand threads, and at the right you will find the rod with the left-handed threads with the rod with the left-handed threads. Okay, here capital D is the diameter of coupler nut, small d is the diameter of rod, that is nominal diameter of threads. D1 is the internal diameter of coupler nut, and D2 is the outer diameter of coupler nut. So here you can see that when a force of magnitude P will be applied because of the whatever the application, because of the whatever the tension applied by the cables, okay, the threads of coupler nut and rod are subjected to various types of stresses, like there is a possibility of crushing stress, there is a possibility of failure of rod in a tension. Okay, while rotating the while increasing the tension, we used to rotate the coupler nut in clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. So during that rotation there is a possibility of torsional, and the torsional shear stress can get induced. Okay, so there are multiple type of stresses or loads are applied on the coupler nut. Okay, so the failure of coupler can be taken, it can fail in any manner. Okay, so because of that we need to increase the design load. So here what I am going to do while designing the threaded portion, I am going to take the design load PD for the threaded portion only. I am going to increase the design load. I am going to take the design load PD 1.3 times the normal load. Normal load is the applied load which will be given in the problem, but while designing the threaded portion of the turnbuckle, we have to increase the design load, or we have to consider the design load, which is 1.3 times the normal load. Okay, so remember this, that while designing the threaded portion you have to select the design load PD is equals to 1.3 P, that is normal load. So next is let us discuss about the design of rods, tie rods. Okay, so here you can see that when a force of magnitude P will be applied on the threaded part, here you can see the threaded portion, it is having the length L. I have considered the threaded portion of the coupler nut, okay, which is having the length L. D is the nominal, that is measure diameter, and DC is the core diameter. Okay, so here after the application of force P, there is a possibility of failure of this threaded portion or the threaded portion of the rod. It will fail at the core diameter, which is the minimum one. Okay, here you can see that the core diameter is minimum one. Okay, so let us see the induced tensile stress sigma T is equals to, here again here you can see that we are discussing regarding the design of threaded portion. So that is why I have considered the design load PD divided by A. So sigma T is equals to PD by A. Again, A is the, we need to consider the core diameter. So A is equals to pi by 4 DC square, where DC is the core diameter of threads, or it is the minor diameter of threads. Next is, let us put the value of A in the equation. It will be sigma T is equals to PD divided by pi by 4 DC square. It will be, and I am going to write the equation in terms of DC, so that we can calculate the core diameter of the rod or the threaded portion. So DC is equals to root of 4P divided by pi into sigma T. So once when you will have the value of sigma T, that is permissible tensile stress for the material of rod, PD is the applied, it is the design load, which can be calculated by using the formula PD is equals to 1.3 P, and P is the applied force. Okay, so by using this formula we can calculate the core diameter. Next is, we can calculate the nominal diameter D by using the empirical relation. Measure diameter we can calculate, D is equals to DC divided by 0.84. So once when you will calculate DC, you can calculate the measure diameter D. Okay, next is the length of coupler nut. Here you can see that the coupler nut, this is the coupler nut which is having the threaded portion. Okay, so while designing this threaded part, this is the threaded portion of coupler nut. Okay, so to calculate the length, I am going to consider the shearing of the threads when a force of magnitude P will be applied. Here you can see that this is the force of magnitude P. After the application of force, there is a possibility of failure of threads. They can shear off along with the tie rod. Okay, so here you can see that again the minimum diameter we need to consider. This is the minimum diameter or core diameter, along which there will be a possibility of shear off of the threads can shear up along this plane. Okay, so the induced shear stress tau is equals to, again we are discussing regarding the threaded portion, so tau will be equals to PD, we have to consider the design load, divided by E. So here for the threaded portion, the area will be, here you can see that we need to consider the core diameter pi into DC, okay, into L. Along this along this length there will be a shear failure, so I am going to consider the length. If you will increase the length, the area is going to increase again. If you will increase the DC, the area is going to increase again. Okay, so the total shear failure is depend on the area. If you will increase the area, shear stress is going to reduce. If you will decrease the area, shear stress is going to increase. The possibility of failure and shear is going to increase. So let us put the value of A in this equation. An equation will be tau is equals to PD divided by pi dc into L. Okay, now in this equation, if you will have the value of tau, tau is the permissible shear stress. Okay, PD is the design load that we can calculate. DC is the core diameter that we have calculated in the previous slide. I have discussed regarding the calculation of core diameter DC. So this formula can be written in terms of L also, and we can calculate the length of coupler nut, length of threaded portion of that coupler nut. Okay, so by using this formula we can calculate the length, or there is a one empirical relation between the nominal diameter and length. So from this expression we can calculate the length, or by using the empirical relation for the steel nuts, length can be calculated. Length can be taken as d to 1.25 d, and for the cast iron nuts, length can be taken as 1.d. L is equals to 1.5 d to 2d. Okay, for the cast iron and softer materials. Okay, so among this, according to the material of nut, okay, we can calculate the length of nut in two ways, according to this formula or by using this empirical relation, and we have to select one, the maximum one among these. Okay, the next is, so here in this we can calculate the length. Okay, the next is, let us discuss about the induced crushing stress in threads. Okay, so when a force of magnitude P will be applied along the threads, there is a possibility of crushing. Here you can see that here I have shown the threads. Okay, so this is the these are the threads of you can consider these are the internal part of the internal part of the coupler nut, or this can be considered as the external part of the rod. Okay, so here you can see that if a force of magnitude P will be applied towards the right side, okay, so along this side there will be a crushing. This side of thread there will be a possibility of crushing failure. So we need to calculate this area. Okay, for every flank of thread there is a possibility of crushing along this side, and if you apply a force towards the left side, then there is a possibility of crushing along this side. Okay, so let us calculate this area. First of all, crushing stress will be equals to, again we are discussing about the design of threaded portion. Okay, here we are dealing with the threaded portion, so I am going to consider the design load PD. Sigma ck is equals to PD divided by N into A. So here A is the area of single thread. Okay, so here area, we need to calculate the area of single thread. So here we can see that along this side there will be a crushing. So the area is pi by 4 d square, that is major diameter, minus dc square, that is core diameter. Okay, so this is the area along which there will be a crushing, and again this is the area of single thread, and we are discussing about the number of threads, which again depend on the length of the coupler nut. Okay, so n is nothing but the number of threads. Okay, so depend on the number of threads there will be a magnitude of crushing stress. Okay, again the crushing stress is going to reduce if the product of number of threads and area is going to increase. Okay, so by using this formula, we can calculate the induced crushing stress. Okay, so I have written the formula here. Sigma ck is equals to PD divided by pi by 4 d square minus dc square into N, where D is the nominal diameter, that is major diameter of threads, DC is the core diameter, PD is the design load, and N is number of threads. Okay, and number of threads can be calculated by using the formula N is equals to L divided by pitch of thread. If you divide the length of coupler nut with the pitch of thread, you will get the number of threads, and from this expression we can calculate the crushing stress sigma ck. Next is the outside diameter of coupler nut, that is capital D. Okay, once again here you can see that after the application of force there is a possibility of failure of coupler nut along this plane in tension. Okay, so here you can see that we need to consider this area. Okay, so sigma t is equals to P divided by area under tension. For coupler nut, the area will be pi by 4 capital D square, that is outer diameter, minus small d square, that is major diameter of the rod, or it is the internal diameter of the coupler nut. So let us put this equation of A for the value of A in the above equation of sigma t. Sigma t will be equals to P divided by pi by 4 capital D square minus. So from this expression we can calculate the value of capital D, because in the previous one we have calculated small d, we have the magnitude of force which is applied. So here I have considered the normal load. I have not considered the design load, because here we are going to design, we are going to find out the outer diameter of coupler nut. Okay, so there is no need to consider the design load, because here we are not dealing with the threaded portion. Okay, so here by using this formula you can calculate the capital D, because in the previous one we have calculated, we can calculate by using the previous formula, we can calculate small d. We have the value of P, we have the value of sigma t, which is the permissible stress in tension. So once you will put all the values, you can calculate the outer diameter of coupler nut. Okay, so there is a one empirical relation by using which you can calculate outer diameter of coupler nut also, which is D is equals to 1.25 D to 1.5 D. Okay, so here small d is the diameter of nominal diameter or major diameter of the rod, and capital D is the diameter of coupler nut. Okay, so from you can calculate diameter from the equation 5, or you can calculate the diameter by using this empirical relation, and you have to select the maximum diameter among these two. Okay, next is the outside diameter of coupler D2. Here you can see that this is the outside diameter of coupler. So again, when you will apply a force of magnitude P in a tensile manner, okay, so there is a possibility of failure of coupler nut along this cross section. Sorry, not a coupler nut. There is a possibility of failure of coupler along this cross section. So we need to consider this area, this highlighted portion, okay, and also this area. Okay, so there is a possibility of failure of coupler in tension. So the induced tensile stress sigma t will be equals to P divided by area. So area of the coupler, this is the area of the coupler, which will be pi by 4 capital D2 square, this is D2, okay, minus small d1 square. D1 is the internal diameter of the coupler. Okay, so put the value of area in the equation. Sigma t will be equals to P divided by pi by 4 D2 square minus D1 square. So here we can calculate the value of D2, that is outer diameter. So first we should have the value of D1 to calculate D2. So D1, that is internal diameter of the coupler. It can be calculated by using the empirical relation. D1 is equals to, that is inside diameter of coupler, is equals to D, that is diameter of nominal diameter of rod plus 6 mm. Okay, so by using this equation we can calculate D1. Once we will calculate the D1, put the value of D1 in this equation, put the value of P, okay, take the value of sigma t, which is the permissible stress in tension, and we can calculate D2. Okay, by rewriting this equation in terms of D2, we can calculate D2, that is outer diameter of coupler nut. Okay, and one more way is there to calculate D2 by using the empirical relation. We can calculate D2. D2 is equals to 1.5 D to 1.7 D. Okay, so here again small d is the nominal or the outer diameter of the rod, and we can calculate D2 by using the equation, by using this equation or by using this empirical relation, and we have to select the maximum value among these two. Okay, from the equation 6 and from this empirical relation we have to select the maximum value of D2. Next is let us calculate the length of coupler between the nuts. Okay, so this is the length of coupler between the nuts, which is represented by capital L. Again, this length is dependent on the type of application, whether you need a small size of turnbuckle or a large one, depending upon the length which is to be adjusted, okay, or the tension between the cables which is to be adjusted. Okay, so here capital L can be calculated by using empirical relation. It is usually taken as 6 times the diameter of the rod. Okay, so L, capital L is equals to 6D. So by using this equation we can calculate the length of coupler. Next is the thickness of coupler. So thickness of coupler is T. Here you can see that it is the difference between D2 and D1. Okay, so this thickness is 0.75D. This can be taken as a 0.75 into diameter of rod, nominal diameter of rod. And the next is the wall thickness of coupler nut. This is the wall thickness. Here you can see that the inside view. Here you can see that this is the T1. And so by using the empirical relation, T1 is equals to 0.5 into diameter of rod, we can calculate the thickness of coupler nut. Okay, so thank you. By using all these equations, we can calculate the various dimensions of turnbuckle. Okay, do subscribe for the upcoming videos of machine design.